Welcome to Exceptionally Speaking, the podcast where we explore how to better understand and support exceptional learners. I'm Dr. Meryl, and each week I sit down with dedicated educators, parents, and advocates to share real strategies, inspiring stories, and moments of hope. If you're enjoying these conversations or learning something new, please be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Today on Exceptionally Speaking, I'm delighted to welcome Doug Alexander, Gifted Education Instructional Specialist in Colorado's Boulder Valley School District, National Board Certified in Gifted Education, President of the Colorado Association for Gifted and Talented, and Network Chair for the LGBTQ+ Network at the National Association for Gifted Children. In this conversation, Doug shares his journey into gifted education and the lessons he's learned supporting students, educators, and leaders across Colorado and beyond. We talk about what it means to truly see and serve gifted and twice exceptional learners, how educators can find leverage for change even within underfunded systems, and the power of student voice in shaping advocacy and belonging. Doug also gives us a behind-the-scenes look at the upcoming Colorado Association for Gifted and Talented Conference, one of the nation's most highly regarded gatherings for gifted education professionals. He shares what makes this event so special each year and why it continues to bring together educators, families, and advocates who are deeply committed to gifted learners. You can find more information about all our guests at hex24press.com. Please enjoy Exceptionally Speaking with Doug Alexander. Hey, Doug, it's so good to see you. Thank you so much for being on Exceptionally Speaking today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate being here.
I'm really excited to talk to you. I know we've both been in gifted education a long time and have had some meetups along the way, but haven't really got to dig in around what your story is and the really wonderful work that you're doing right now. So I am excited to talk to you. I'd really love to just start with how you got into gifted education in general, but how did you land in gifted education? I'd love to hear your story.
Yeah, education was a career shift for me. I was working in television news behind the scene, and I did that for about 5 years after I originally graduated from college. And then I realized, you know what? I want to do something that's positive for the world rather than showcasing all the negatives that happen in the world. So someone told me, hey, you'd make a good teacher. And I was like, maybe. So I tried substituting, and they're absolutely right. I fell in love with teaching, and then I got my teaching certification, and then I started teaching in Miami, Florida, and there, the gifted education has a pretty big program in that city. I was at a pretty big elementary school. There are 8 rounds, and 2 of those rounds were gifted focused classrooms. And so I really observed the 2 teachers who were teaching that and just got to be enamored by the really cool things that they were getting to do and explore with their kids. And so that planted seed for me to think, okay, that's the route I want to go. And then eventually I got my master's degree in gifted education. I currently work in Boulder Valley School District, which doesn't have gifted specific classes per se. The services are provided, integrated within the classroom setting. But it led me on this path to where I'm at now, working at the district level as a gifted instructional specialist, and loving every minute of it.
That's so interesting. I didn't know that you started in Florida.
Yeah.
Seems like we have a lot of wonderful Colorado educators that started getting involved in gifted education in Florida. We're happy you came here.
I'm glad to be here.
So I'd love to know a little bit more about what does your day-to-day work look like as an instructional specialist, especially as it relates to serving and supporting those who are supporting gifted students.
Oh gosh, when people outside of the field of education ask me, what do you do? I say, well, the short, easy answer is I'm a teacher trainer, but I do so much more than that. So yes, I provide professional development, and I can train and coach teachers and strategies for gifted education and twice exceptionality as well. But I help my coordinator identify students according to Colorado standards and their own local standards, and help coordinate assessments across the district. I lead monthly meetings with our people who are in the buildings, we call our Gifted Talent Advisors, GTAs, just to help train those folks on what they need to do to gather data at their site before they pass it along to my coordinator and me. So many things. I run a GT Youth Council with middle schoolers and high schoolers. So we meet a few times a year. Well, I'd say we're up to about 6 times a year now we're meeting, and we're empowering those students to advocate. So my co-facilitator and I, we don't tell the students like what they should be bringing up and what they should be advocating for. We literally just facilitate the conversations And those of us in the world of gifted education know exactly what they're going to be asking for, like better classes, just more opportunities, just to be seen and heard, to not just be an afterthought in education, to be part of the conversation. So they're doing a great job this year. Yeah, anything that our department needs help with, there is sort of like the jack of all trades and
Hmm.
gifted education in my district.
That's really wonderful, the work that you're doing with advocacy with gifted youth. We know that's a huge part of what can make a difference. Honestly, I get sometimes bogged down in, the public education systems that we work in, and there is a lot of red tape. There is a lot of dead ends. Cannot go this way. Try again. Try it another way. And I'm just wondering, where do you see some big opportunities where we can really impact change in gifted education, especially like from that district wide view?
You know, um, that's a great question. It's something that I ponder all the time. Like, where can we find leverage? And it reminds me of a conversation I had with a principal one time who I went and met with her and was trying to advocate for, hey, can we do more with services at our school? I have some ideas, because I was learning a bit about gifted education at that point. And she said, we would love to do more, but there's a big reason why we can't do more. And then she took a piece of paper and she drew a dollar sign in and put a zero next to it. And she says, we're just not funded. And I looked at her and I said, well, it's exactly because it's not funded that we need to pay attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
It still needs to be something that we address because these kids are here in our schools, they're here in our classes. So it really is that idea of no matter what happens in the world, no matter what resources we're given, we have to prioritize meeting the needs of each of our students, which includes our gifted advanced learners and students who are twice exceptional.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to know that the funding's not coming, but the students still are, right? So we know we will keep pushing for more funding. Absolutely. And we're in a state that even the nominal amount of funding we do get is more than many states do. And so that's a celebration on its own, but we know it's not enough. And so considering how do we really make a difference for students when we know there's not going to be some lump sum that's going to be a magical difference tomorrow. I wonder throughout the work that you've been doing, if you've had any successes you could share around twice exceptional student support. We have a lot of listeners who are really interested in how to support twice exceptional students. And I know that's a big question because no two E students are the same, and depends on the disability and depends on your cognitive ability, whether or not you're profoundly gifted or whatnot. So I'm just wondering if you have any anecdotes to share that might help some of our listeners.
Yeah. To begin with this, to me, it's really important that we look at our students who have twice exceptionality or multi exceptionality and see them holistically. Like, we have to see their strengths. We have to stop obsessing about their deficits, about the things that they're not good at doing. And we also have to look at the things that they are good at doing, are capable of doing. Help them recognize their strengths and talents as we see them and create those environments where we can have strengths-based learning experiences with them while simultaneously obviously supporting their supports when and where they need them according to their IEP or 504. One quick anecdote here is there was, I'm going to use a pseudonym here, a fourth grader that I had one time in my class named David. Obviously not his real name, but this is a sweet, kind kid, academically struggled. This is a student who was twice exceptional. He had virtually no ability to spell words. Spelling did not click in his brain. And up until that point, he absolutely hated writing in school because every time he wrote, his previous teachers would just obsess about his spelling and just want to like tackle the spelling and basically give him the idea that because he had a big inability to spell correctly, that his writing was not good. And so that was like a massive never ending chore for him, just an endless, like writing was just a series of spelling checks and spelling practice. So I just looked at him one day and I said, what if you write me a story and I don't care about the spelling? What if you I just want to know what you think as a writer. I want to know
Mm-hmm.
your thoughts. I want to know if you got the creativity behind you. And he looked at me and said, really? I said, yeah, I'm not going to score your spelling. I just want to know. I want to know, can you write? Because spelling is just a small part of writing. Like, we have tools that can help us with spelling. And yes, I'll keep continuing to help you practice spelling and you'll get some basics down, but that shouldn't get in the way of you being a writer. I think it was the first time he made this connection that writing is not necessarily spelling. The spelling's a part of writing, but it's not everything. And so he
Hmm.
did, and he wrote a story, and he really enjoyed it. And I just kept doing that with him. I made that accommodation for him because I was leaning into his strength because I saw that he had interesting thoughts when he would talk to me, and he could tell stories and he could unpack books we've read and things like that. No problem. But what if he had to write it? It just all was lost on the paper. And so once I gave him that ability to just lean into your strengths, you're a good storyteller, just tell it. We'll fix the spelling afterwards. And he ended up enjoying writing. So that was a success and something I think that we can learn from that is just like look for the kids' strengths. It's okay. It's okay if they can't do
Absolutely.
everything great.
Right, right. And build the confidence in the writing. And like you said, we'll continue on with spelling, but he may not be a great speller as an adult, and that's okay. We have tools for that, and it's okay. But not to get stopped there and continue to work on writing itself. I'm thinking about. I know you are in a doctoral program, and as a fellow doctoral nerd, would love to know more about two things. One, why did you decide to pursue a doctorate? And then two, what is your lane of research that's looking really interesting to you?
I decided to go into the doctoral program because it was a bit of a challenge for myself. So it's sort of the pinnacle, right? Like you can't do much more in education than, reach that highest degree of doctoral programs. I suppose there's other things you could do, but really to me, like that's the pinnacle. So I was challenging myself as a learner, as teachers, we like to think of ourselves as lifelong learners. It's like, well, how do I learn everything that I could possibly learn? My goal isn't to learn everything, but really it was just about like, I wanted the challenge of, well, what don't I know about education that I probably should know that if I continued my education and higher education, then it's going to just fill in the gaps that ultimately is going to make me a stronger professional, right? A stronger learner, a stronger teacher. So it's been very useful in that it really backfilled a lot of the history and philosophy and theory that I didn't quite know, sort of loosely knew before, but now I know, and I know some of the bigger names that preceded me. My doctoral program is sort of a general education studies, but my focus is on gifted education. And my college and professors have been wonderful about letting me pursue that as my path in education. And it's allowed me to really dive deep. I knew all about Joseph Renzulli, and then I did a really deep dive on Joseph Renzulli, and now I know a whole lot more about Joseph Renzulli as one of the
Yeah.
big names in gifted education. And so that has inspired me and the work that I do. So it's been very helpful and just sort of given me that nudge to continue to learn. Um,
Hmm.
and the specific path that I'm pursuing. Do you want to know my dissertation
I
topic?
would love to. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's super specific. I'm looking at the intersection of being gifted and having LGBTQ plus identity, and then how that intersectional identity is informed by pop culture.
Okay. Okay.
So the topic is really like what are the experiences the students have using pop culture to inform their intersectional identity. And the reason I chose that is because I do a lot of work in gifted education. There's parts of gifted education that's well researched. Like we know about what it takes, gifted mathematics and what it takes for gifted reading and social emotional concerns and underachievement. But as I started digging a little deeper, it was like, gosh, we don't hardly know anything about that intersection between giftedness and LGBTQ plus identity. So what unique experiences do those students have in schools and in life? And what kind of light can we shed on that to support them?
That's great. I agree with you. That's a hugely important topic, but also one where there is not a lot of research on it. So, what a great thing for you to be able to do. Is your study going to be all qualitative? Will it be interview style?
Yeah, it's qualitative. It is a phenomenographic study, which I just recently learned about. My professor said, your study sounds like it'd be a good phenomenography. And I was like, what's that? So I did a
That's
little
what I
research
use. So,
into
I do
that.
know what phenomenology is. Yeah. So,
Yeah, so a little bit different from phenomenology. Phenomenography is rather than focus on the phenomenon itself, it's focused on the experiences of the people within the phenomenon. I'm really excited just to get the students' stories and just let them tell their stories.
okay. So, I'm telling you, I'm a nerd about this. How are you getting participants?
Great question. I am currently waiting for IRB approval from my college. As soon as I get that, then it's district approval. Then as soon as I get that, I've worked with a colleague who is a principal at a gifted focus magnet school. It's
Hmm.
a K, and they say that their LGBTQ plus like affinity group for students is huge. So
Okay.
most of those kids are gifted identified, and those kids are, selecting to be there either as allies or identify as LGBTQ plus themselves. So that's my, hope that I can make that work to get the permission to go in and recruit participants from there to engage in the study.
Okay, that's really exciting. I'm sending you all the best of luck. I know that you can have the perfect study and it's like, okay, if the participant part can work out, I'm sure you have some backup plans, but hopefully your plan A works out. So, what's your timeline for completion? You have about a year left or so?
I'm in my final year of a 4-year program. So once I get a IRB approval and district approval, then I get to conduct my study. Hopefully in a couple months after I've conducted my study, I can write it up and then defend in the spring and hopefully by the end of the school year, obtain my doctorate degree.
Oh, that's so exciting. So, super fun, busy year ahead of you.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. Yeah,
That's great.
for
Well,
sure.
I know also right now you're the network chair for the LGBTQ plus network for the National Association of Gifted Children. Would you just talk a little bit about like what is a network within NAGC for those that don't know, and really what purpose do you serve as network chair?
So NAGC is the National Gifted Ed Organization, and it's a pretty big organization. Within that structure, they have these specialty groups. They have special interest groups, SIGs, and then they also have networks, which kind of both serve the same purpose. So it's taking a subpopulation within gifted education and then really focusing on learning about them and their needs and advocating for them, and just the networks inform the overall organization so that we just have a stronger understanding about the various nuances of these learners. So there's exceptional needs, like students with choice exceptionality. There's a network for that. For Black and Brown students, there's a network for that. So, we have all kinds of varieties of ways we can look at creativity, technology, just the different ways that giftedness intersects with different walks of life.
Do you have anything that you're most proud of that the LGBTQ plus network has helped support or move forward in the past couple of
Yes.
years?
The folks who founded the network did a really nice job of setting up an annual tradition. So there's a bingo fundraiser that we have at the convention every year, or at least most years, which is a lot of fun. If you're going to NAGC, please come support this. It doesn't cost much to contribute to the bingo. And we're raising money to send gifted LGBTQ plus youth to an inclusive summer camp so that they can have a place to go and feel included, especially for those. It's basically a scholarship is what we're designing to allow them the funding to go to something like that so that they can, feel seen and heard in this world.
That's awesome. That's great. Yeah. It's such a wonderful event. And so if you're listening and you're, like Doug said, if you're going to the conference, definitely check that out. That's exciting. So I also wanted to talk a little bit about CAGT, Colorado Association for Gifted and Talented. So you're the current president of the association. And for those of our listeners who maybe are unfamiliar with the association, could you talk just a little bit about what the purpose is and how you see the organization helping move gifted education forward?
CAGT is an affiliate of NAGC. So it's the state affiliate, the National Gifted Ed Organization. So we're the state chapter of that. And CAGT does a variety of things, but really any teacher would tell you it's all about the kids. Like we keep the kids first and foremost in everything that we do. So we, in addition to putting on the state gifted ed conference, which is coming up here in Colorado, which, by the way, just a little bit of brag, but really it's true. Our keynote speakers that we invite every year tell us that it is among the best gifted education conferences in the nation. And some of them even like it better than the national convention. So we're really proud of that. We really do put a lot of effort in planning that and putting on a really good conference every year. So please come to our conference. It's fantastic. But in addition to the conference, anyone who comes to the conference is an automatic member of CAGT, and then anyone can sign up to be a member as well. With the membership, you get a monthly newsletter called The Happenings, which we are finding like the most current news articles or just resources out there pertaining to everything gifted education, including twice exceptionality. And we also have a core publication called The Kaleidoscope, which we do a deep dive into specific topics. Like recently, we did one on artificial intelligence and gifted education. We have a Conversations with CAGT podcast that we do periodically as well, where we hear from local, national, and international experts, which I know you're familiar with. We put on a legislative day for gifted identified high schoolers to come to the state capitol and shadow lawmakers and just have a conversation with them throughout the day and learn what policymaking looks like from the inside, but also do a little bit of advocating for the needs of gifted education and gifted students. We have 2 lobbyists that we pay to help gifted be part of that conversation when they're making state laws governing education, specifically, to try to guard our budget from being cut, which has been great. They've been great about that. We advocate for gifted learners of all ages, across the state and the local communities. We have events. We partner with our affiliates. So the state organization has local affiliates spread out across the state as well. So just local communities. And those are more typically tend to be more like parent or family oriented. And so we partner with them. Like we do something called the Family Institute, which brings like conference style programming into the local community where we partner with the affiliates and just raise awareness there. So we provide resources and we work with organizations. And like I said, first and foremost, we always keeping those kids at the top of our mind.
Yeah. And I'm wondering, is there anything that you're super looking forward to at CAGT? I'm sure the keynotes, but anything you want to mention specifically that you're really excited about?
Yeah, keynotes are always a fun draw. We are trying something new this year. So our conference is 2.5 days. That half day is the Sunday evening. So Sunday, October 19th. This year, we are leaning more into that Sunday time part of our conference. In addition to doing creativity night, which is always a hit with our attendees, we're also offering a game night. So we're going to have a variety of games, just come, have fun. It's really more of a casual, social, worky, just have fun, enjoy being around your community kind of vibe we're going for on Sunday. So we're really excited about that coming up this year. In addition to just some phenomenal breakout session presentations. We had so many submissions this year, 130-ish, and we only had room for about 75. The ones that got selected to be part of the conference to present, they're of high quality. We had a lot of choices.
That makes you feel special.
Yes, you should, and they are blind reviews, so I don't want anyone
Yes,
to think
good.
that when I have no idea who submitted it. I'm part of that committee. We just read it and we're just like, yep, it sings what we want to hear, or not quite there, or a little bit off what we were looking for.
Hmm.
So yeah, we're just really, really happy about the quality of presenters that we get, breakout sessions and keynote, and just that people keep coming. We're likely to break a attendance record this year, so we're really excited about that.
Really? How exciting. Yeah, that's great. Throughout your leadership at CAGT, have you noticed anything that's really directly affected your work in your day job that has been kind of a product of the work you've done at CAGT?
I would say being involved with CAGT. Let me take one step back real quick. I first got involved with the local affiliate. So Boulder Valley Gifted and Talented, where I work here in Boulder, that's our local CAGT affiliate, and just got to know those folks and see what it was about. And I got invited to go to CAGT meetings from there. And then eventually that just kind of led me into becoming the president. One of the best things about doing that as an educator is that it is easy as a classroom teacher to silo yourself, to kind of just like, okay, I shut the door. I know what I'm doing. I might pay attention to some articles here and there. I might go to a conference or whatnot. But for the most part, I'm just sort of isolating myself in my own little world, and being part of those organizations, volunteering to be part of BVGT and now CAGT, is really opened up to make me think, oh my gosh, like we by far are not alone. There are so many people out there doing this great work. And it's so nice to connect with those folks and learn from them and pull what you can into your own sphere of influence. And so every day CAGT reminds me that we are not alone. The things that I hear that's happening in other districts or just from my connections within CAGT are always like part of the sort of the blend of things that are swimming around in my mind as I approach different things in my own district and my own work. So I'm just very, very grateful to have that to open my mind, expand my mind a bit, thinking about gifted education.
Yeah. And so will you stay on as past presiding president, or how does that work for
Yeah.
legacy? Yeah.
When you throw your hat in the ring to be president, the members elect you, and you get 2 years as president-elect, which you're also conference chair, then 2 years as president, and then 2 years as past president. So it's 6 years.
Okay. Great. Well, that's exciting. I'm glad you're doing it.
Thank
That's
you.
good work.
I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
Okay, so before I ask my final question, I ask all guests, is there anything else that we haven't covered that you'd like to share or talk about?
We can talk all day about this,
Yeah,
right?
sure. Yeah.
There's so much to say. Really just wanted to tie it back into, twice exceptionality. Really, any of our gifted advanced learners, including those who are twice or multi-exceptional, they tend to have a heightened sense of awareness, and not just about themselves, but also the world around them. And we happen to be living in consequential times right now with big, fast moving political and social changes. And no matter what our personal beliefs or opinions are, what theirs are, like it's a lot for adults to process. It's especially a lot for kids to process too, especially with those who are twice or multi-exceptionals. There's a lot that they're coping with. So we just have to remember their learning and their growth and development continues no matter what. So we cannot ever let a lack of resources or setbacks to our system, such as funding or really just any kind of curveball that's thrown on us, be an excuse for not supporting these learners. Like, they deserve to learn something new every day, and they deserve our mental shift from thinking of students as all students in education, which is often like we hear school districts say, like, well, we believe in supporting all students and we believe in achievement for all, but really making that shift from all to each. So really thinking about shifting it from group think to individual think, and really
Hmm.
zero in what do each of these students need, what's going on around them within school, what's going around in the world, and how do we make this all work for them? Because it is our job to make sure that they grow and that we see their strengths and that they develop their strengths. So that's what I would put out there. It's just, let's just keep at it no matter what happens.
Yes. It's funny that seems to come up in a lot of my recent episodes is with my guests is us landing on this agreement of we're not going to stop doing the work. If you're listening, please don't stop doing the work that you're doing, regardless of what's going on outside of our control as it affects public education, that we know that each student deserves an appropriate education, and that looks different for gifted students. So I know a lot of times when you hear school districts talk about we support all students, it really means until they're proficient. Then we're good. We support all students until they reach that proficiency mark, and then we're good. So I like to say, like, equity does not end at proficiency, right? Like, the other students matter too. The students who come in already proficient matter just as much as those who aren't. So I appreciate that sentiment for sure. And I think that really ties in well to what's bringing you hope right now as we end thinking about gifted education, regardless of what's happening in the world. What's bringing you hope right now?
Honestly, it's as corny as it sounds. It really is the kids. In my role, I don't have a classroom full of students right now, but one of the things that I get to provide, being a district instructional specialist, is I get to go into schools that are what we call in consult. So these are schools that are smaller in population and they don't have an in-house person who is overseeing gifted education. And I get to still work with students on a one-to-one basis, even just quick check-ins, like a half hour every 2 weeks or so. It really, that's the highlight of my year every year, is just getting to work with these students. There's a special education focused school in our district that has one gifted identified student, and I get to visit with the student every 2 weeks. And to that student is currently a senior in high school, but they're going to enter a transitions program, which they'll continue to learn learn how to be an adult after school ends. So it's still more formal education. And that student just looked at me and said, "Please tell me that I get to work with you when I'm in the transitions program." Yeah, that just made my
Yes.
saying. So I was like, okay, good. It's really, and all I do is I just show up and I just let him do his thing, lean into his strengths and do the things that he wants to do, that for that moment of the day where he gets to showcase a talent or showcase some different thinking. And that's all he needs. He's so for it. So that's my hope. It's just those individual student moments.
That's wonderful. And it's making a difference, obviously. Case in point, it's making a difference. So thank you so much for spending some time with me today, Doug. I really appreciate it. I'd love to have you back. I know we have endless topic lists that we could talk about. So I really appreciate it. And I plan to see you at CAGT. So
All right. We'll see you there.
thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Bye.
This episode of Exceptionally Speaking is brought to you by Hex 24 Press, where education meets imagination. I founded Hex 24 Press in 2024 to uplift educator voices and provide a publishing home for myself and other educators to bring our work into the world. You can find more information about today's guests, including links to their resources and services, at hex24press.com. Thank you for supporting educators, independent creators, and small business. We're so glad you're here.